What do people think when they hear Orlando, Florida?
I think the first thing that comes to people's heads is obviously the theme parks.
Theme parks and that sort of thing. Everybody kind of thinks it's just a place about fun and games.
Disney and amusement parks and just tourist attractions. And
everything magical that falls.
What better place to start Project Orlando than right on Disney property? That's exactly what Titus Mentoring did one Sunday afternoon for lunch at the House of Blues. Founder of Titus Mentoring, John Weaver.
I formed Titus Mentoring because there was a need for our young people to get active and to get involved with service initiatives throughout the community and throughout the world. Well, I think our teens are distracted by a lot of things.
People my age prioritize the social aspects of their life.
I mean, we have our phones, we have our friends.
like finding the best ways they can make themselves better or to fit in or to be cool
But I don't think they're aware of thinking outside themselves.
This is just the beginning of a week-long set of activities and experiences that we hope will have you reconsider some things about life, that will help you reconsider some things about the relationships that you're building, and I hope it helps you understand how to be grateful for a lot of things that you have that probably other people wish they did.
So the way we actually help our teens think outside themselves is through mentoring. Mentoring is basically us grabbing a young person by the hand and saying, this is what you should do. And when we're trying to help our teens understand how to think outside themselves and how to just live life in general, how to grow up, mentoring plays a huge role in helping them shape their thought processes and helping them understand how to do for others. Service plays a huge role in mentoring.
The young people's main priorities don't really value service as much as they should.
If it wasn't required by at least my school, I don't think a lot of kids would even show any interest in helping out their community in that way.
Through service, we're trying to mentor our teens to show them that there's a way for them to be able to do for others and to think outside of themselves.
After 2 years of summer trips to Nicaragua, John felt a need to change the focus of this year's service trip to service in the Orlando community.
I don't think people think of their communities when they think of need. They think of people in Africa or they think of people in foreign countries. I wanted our teens to actually understand that there are opportunities to serve right in their backyards.
You will see that on Monday we'll visit the Orlando Union Rescue Mission. Orlando Union Rescue Mission is a homeless shelter that serves families here in Central Florida. Harvest Time International is a global relief center that takes and does hurricane relief, does local relief efforts with clothing, food, and different things, so we'll help them at the warehouse. Wednesday, we will work with Habitat for Humanity, and we'll go and help build a home. Thursday is kind of fun day because our service is to take the kids at New Image Youth Center to Fun Spot. So we've raised money and did things to help them out, and we should have a lot of fun. And then Friday, we will split because normally our service is all together, but Friday we have to split. Girls will take the first shift in the morning, boys will take the second shift in the afternoon, and then all together we'll group back up and do some other things that evening. I want you to really take in this whole week, disconnect from your normal day-to-day things that happen, and let's make a great week of impact. And I hope that propels you to be servants. I hope that propels you to be friends and connect. And I hope it prepares you to understand that you have a lot to be thankful for. You have a lot to be grateful for, and we're just trying to do what we can to help you realize those things, and we're gonna have fun doing it. Are you guys excited?
And so the week of service in Orlando began at the Orlando Rescue Mission.
We chose the Orlando Union Rescue Mission so our kids could get an understanding of homelessness and the different faces that homelessness has.
You want another one? Okay, you want a hard one? Okay, ready?
One of the things the images that quickly comes to mind when we talk about the homeless is the guy on the corner with the "We'll Work for Food" sign. That is not the majority of the homeless out there. The majority of the homeless out there are folks who, if given a chance, would love to get their lives in order, but don't exactly know how to do that. And that includes a huge number of moms and dads with children.
Well, living in the rescue mission, I've met people that went to college, people I think I met one person even with the doctors. I think it was about a couple of years ago in the men's division. Honestly, it could happen to anybody. A lot of us are like a paycheck or two away from being homeless. There's things that happen, people get sick, they can no longer work, they can't pay their rent, they're homeless. People lose their jobs, they're homeless. So many different ways. In my case, my husband left me, became homeless. So it's so many situations that can put you there. So really, it can really, honestly, it can happen to anybody. Well, I was happily ever married. I was married with my husband. We were doing good, and he decided he no longer wanted to be married anymore. I took it really hard at the time. I went through some depression. I didn't work. I was a housewife. So when he left, he took the income with him, which left me homeless. I moved in with some family. It was not the greatest situation. It wasn't healthy for my children and for myself. So therefore, we really had to find somewhere to go quickly. And thank God that I applied to the mission and they opened their doors to me. My children have chosen to become private. They're very afraid of what people might say. I think it's because there's so many children that are homeless, they go to school and no one knows. So people don't understand that this is you're around them. It's every day. We need to just educate the students more. Like this, and there's a percentage in the school that are homeless that you go to school with. It's not, you don't need to know who it is, but this is real. This is happening. This is part of our community. And I think the more we talk about it, the more we know about it.
There was a recent study by the state of Florida that identified roughly 10,000 students in Orange, Seminole, and Orange counties. That's just students who are homeless or live in unstable home situations. So they're sofa surfing with relatives or friends, or they're living in a motel instead of an apartment. They have no hope. They're hopeless when they come in. We want to be able to show those kids that that is not inevitable for their lives, that we can break that cycle and show them that, look, because your parents are going to make a change and you as a child have that same chance. You can get an education. You can develop the habits that will make you a good employee. You'll develop a career that will allow you to support yourself and your family. The mission ultimately of the Orlando Union Rescue Mission is to provide long-term residential programs that will equip our guests for lifelong independence and self-sufficiency.
Oh, we've had all type of volunteers come in. We have volunteers that come in and serve dinner, braid hair.
Or working on landscaping. So when kids show up and they're weeding a garden or they are planting shrubbery, fundamentally they are not just improving the look of that. They're creating an environment that will transform people's lives. They give people an opportunity to grow up in an environment that reflects dignity and self-respect, that makes them proud of where they live, so that it is not just important for the smooth operation of the organization, it is transformative to the lives of the guests, the beneficiaries, the men, women, and especially the kids who live in that facility or participate in activities there. It changes their lives. That's what every volunteer does. He doesn't just pull a weed, he changes lives.
We went to tour the Orlando Rescue Mission, and we went to see the gym and the cafeteria, the playground. Nice. We saw the front where kids would usually hang out, like around basically like their living room. We saw infant room, like where babies play.
I think movies, we've all seen them, shelters, and we have an idea of what a shelter is and I think they come here and they're like, wow, this is not what I thought it was, and it's not. This is not. This is a place where you come and they help you change your life.
Day 2 of service led the students to an organization in Sanford, Florida named Harvest Time International.
We chose Harvest Time International because the organization provides global and local relief.
Okay, so we are sorting clothes. They're all in here and based on like women's summer, girls' summer, men's summer, boys' summer, blankets, accessories, hats, and we're just organizing them into each of their boxes. They explain that like people who are in need of food and clothes, they get a lot of their things from here and that it's like really, really helpful and generous.
This is the entrance to our Community Hope Center. We have clients come in every day, probably around 300-400 clients every day coming in. And first when they come in, they have to apply for membership. They have to fill out an application. It's based on income and situation. The program itself is set up like a grocery store. It's called Community Hope Center. When people come in, they get the membership card. Everything is based on suggested donations. It's not a free handout program. We don't believe in people just getting everything for free. It doesn't always help. It creates a spirit of entitlement, and it also doesn't allow us to buy goods. A lot of the goods, especially on this side here, we buy. We have anything from food, drinks, snacks. We have frozen goods, we have vegetables in there, we have meat in there. If we follow this side, we're gonna come to an area that's a clothing store. All new clothing is actually at $3. We also have used clothing that's actually less. The goal is to reduce the expenses for our clients, so they have more money left over to pay their housing bills, to pay rent, utilities, or anything else. Good morning. So this side is all non-food. We have over-the-counter medications. We have diapers. Diapers in here, for example, are around 15 cents a piece, while in a regular store they cost anywhere around 30 cents a piece. We have toilet paper, household goods, anything you may need, you can find in here. We also have a dental center in this building. So this works also it's on a sliding scale. We don't operate it ourselves. We have an organization called Orange Blossom Family Health. They operate it on different days during the week, and it's a regular dental center. It has dental chairs. So dental is a huge need in the community because mostly it's not covered by insurances. People don't get care and they don't take care of their teeth, so then they can't get a job because they don't look all right. So this is one partner we have in here. It's Orange Blossom Family Health. From here we distribute, I showed you the local program, but we also distribute to other nonprofits, which you see in the warehouse. We distribute internationally from our facility in Lake Mary. We have roughly 35,000 square foot in Lake Mary. We have a facility in Port Orange and Daytona Beach. This area we have different offices in here. We have one other partner we have in here is Department of Children and Families. People can apply right here for food stamps, Medicaid. They can use their food stamps in our programs. We also have a medical center in there. So the same as I showed you for the dental center, we have a medical center, and there's a doctor in there, just like a family doctor. People can go in there and pay way less than if they would go to an emergency room. They can go in there and get help.
On day 3, the students were able to go to Apopka, Florida and help build homes with Habitat for Humanity.
We chose Habitat for Humanity to help our teens understand the opposite end of homelessness and helping our residents find a way to get back on track and to get affordable housing.
Habitat. So Habitat Greater Orlando is a nonprofit housing organization. We build homes for families that are in need of affordable housing here in the Greater Orlando area. We're currently building a 34-home community here in Arbor Bend, which is in Apopka. At its completion in 2019, it will be bringing 34 affordable homes to the Apopka area. So there is an application process to become a homeowner with Habitat Greater Orlando. Our homeowners are required to first apply, and then there are 3 criteria that make them eligible in order to purchase a home with us. The first is a need for housing. So that need is anything from they live in overcrowded areas, their rent is too high, it's unsafe. So there's a variety of things that we take into consideration. The second is that they are willing to partner with us. So many of our homeowners are here on the job sites volunteering 200 to 400 hours of what we consider sweat equity. They can do it here on the job site, in our retail stores, at the restores, in our offices, at special events, all things like that. And then the third is that they are able to pay a mortgage. That is the biggest misconception of what Habitat is. Our homeowners are paying a monthly mortgage just like anybody else. We do, however, are able to give it at a 0 interest rate mortgage because in addition to being the builder, we are also the bank. We have had homeowners who live in their cars, live in hotels, but then we also have others that live with maybe the grandmother, but there's 7 people in a bedroom. So I wouldn't say we have a typical qualification for kind of how our homeowners are into the program. They have to be eligible and able to pay a monthly mortgage. I think one of the biggest things that we see from volunteers when they're out here is that a lot of people aren't aware of the affordable housing crisis in the United States, and then coming out here and potentially meeting homeowners and doing the work and seeing to come out and volunteer with us, it definitely opens their eyes. So the volunteers today are helping with some minor tasks that we have going on in order to progress the next step of building the home. So some of them are helping put on the railing to our porches. We're moving siding so that we can install some siding. I know we're doing some touch-up paint on the exterior of the houses, and then some interior touch-up things as well. So we always say that at Habitat, no day is ever the same. Volunteers are always helping with something different. Our volunteers help with everything from painting, landscaping, hanging drywall, framing interior walls, painting the interior, putting on baseboards. There are a wide variety of things that our volunteers help with, and no day is ever the same.
Cleaning the outside of the windows and scraping off any paint residue or anything like that, so we gotta go over it with Windex. Clean it a little bit, and then take a razor blade to it and just kind of scrape, so having fun.
We're sweeping the floors because there's a bunch of dirt in it, and then we're gonna mop it, and then it's gonna be perfect for a family to move into.
Yes. We're scraping the bathtub.
What we're gonna do is sign the house.
Because we're volunteering here, so everybody signs the house.
On day 4, the students of Titus Mentoring were able to reconnect with students they had worked with prior at New Image Youth Center.
We chose New Image Youth Center because we had built a relationship with that organization throughout the entire school year, and then we took them to Fun Spot as a treat during the summer.
My name is Dr. Shante Barton Stubbs, the director and founder of the New Image Youth Center. So with the New Image Youth Center, we're located in the Paramore community. A few years ago, Paramore is actually on the list of 25 worst neighborhoods in the world. And so when we think about that, it's so hard for us to grasp because of the fact that we're here right by the soccer stadium, the Amway Arena, the Tinkerfield. There are a lot of kids sometimes going home without food. We're talking about there's a strong academic struggle. Many of our kids were lagging and falling behind. There were very small family-oriented groups or even after-school programs for the youth to participate in, and if they were very limited. So of course, having a place like the New Image Youth Center, which takes care of the whole child, this is one of the reasons why it's most important to be right here in a neighborhood such as Paramore. We've been around for 14 years, and our goal here at New Image Youth Center is to provide different opportunities and exposures to youth outside of their normal environment. The reality is that the poverty level is at an all-time high. Reality is that right here in Paramore, the average income for a house of 5 was $15,000. How does that happen? Many of the places that we pay rent for really should be considered condemned. And so when we're talking about areas of third world countries, I think that's amazing, but we also have to be very focused on our very own backyard. We have only had 2 to be a part of the system. Out of the 14 years, we only have 1 that's in prison at this time. Out of 14 years, we don't have any teen pregnancies. And so I would like to believe, and I would like to say that what we've been able to do to the community has changed the face of the community.
Titus Mentoring met with the students of New Image Youth Center at Fun Spot to have a fun day in the sun.
Everybody on the go-kart. What's your favorite?
The water park.
The water park.
Day 5 brought about a very different service project than the first 4 days because the needs being served were not necessarily financial or demographic. The people in need were children from every walk of life who were extremely ill.
We chose Give Kids the World because we wanted our teens to understand organizations that help kids with terminally ill conditions. So Give Kids the World invites children from all over the world to come and experience a week of not worrying about their critical illness. They allow the kids to stay for free. They do not charge them 1 penny, and they let the kids stay and eat and ride the rides, and then a lot of times they actually allow their guests to visit other theme parks in the area free of charge. And it's a way for them to actually not even think about what their situation is. So our teens greeted the guests. They ran the merry-go-round, we cleaned, we bussed tables. We did everything that they needed in shifts, and we did what we could to help out and make the guests feel special.
There's different jobs, but I was serving food. Jolie, I served coffee and hot chocolate to people.
Sydney and I worked the beverage station. I carry trays for families to help them out.
Clean up the tables and talk to the kids.
So today I was serving a family coffee and all the kids wanted hot chocolate. and I was just asking them how their day was, and I ran out of hot chocolate, so I had to go get some, but when I came back, their mother gave me this and hugged me and thanked me for all that we're doing. It was really nice, and the little girl was so cute.
Sometimes life has unexpected twists, and for the students of Titus Mentoring, one of these moments happened on the first day of service.
You know, we have these kids do the service, but we also have a moment each evening to reflect on the organizations we visit and to ask them about their experiences. And so last night we had a chance to talk to them about the OURM to get their impressions of homelessness. And it was interesting for them to see that one of the young men that was with us actually was a resident of the Orlando Union Rescue Mission. And so I think that was eye-opening for them. I believe they were shocked, and looking at their faces, it looked like a couple of the guys got very emotional, their eyes welling up with tears.
Remember Danny, who shared his experience at the Orlando Rescue Mission? That same evening, the students learned a secret that he was harboring.
My family has became misplaced for about like 7, 8 years. We went from apartments to hotels to homeless shelters to apartments. So we were just like jumping everywhere. We moved like every single year. It was hard for me at school because, you know, moving everywhere, that I would miss like important things. Learning was pretty difficult for me. We found the mission. My mom was like, oh, I have good news, you know, we have a better place. And then when we got there, I was like, oh, it's not that bad. It looks like classy-ish. You know, they saved our money, and they gave us a place to live in. They helped us, and I appreciate that. A lot of young kids nowadays would probably focus on like their shoes, who's the most attractive person. My focus throughout me struggling was like, are we gonna get kicked out? Are we gonna sleep on the street? I hope my mom could have enough money for like Christmas. I hope my brothers can not really see what's going on entirely. Kids talking about like topics of like random things like, oh, my mom told me you can't get a car, or like, I can't go to the beach on Sunday or something like that. I would think in my head like, bro, you have it good. I wish I could be you, you know? I thought they were better than me, I guess. I mostly feel like a no one. I was basically invisible. I would always hide it. But there was this one kid, I don't even know like how he figured it out, but he told me that like he knew it, and then I just cried. And then he was like, bro, if you need help, I got you, you know? It could be anyone, you know? Like, you wouldn't really notice the people who are homeless until you actually see their life, you know?
You have no idea. You probably walk through these hallways and there's people that are walking right here in the hospital. They're homeless. You know, it's not always drugs and they make you homeless, you know. It's other reasons. Things happen, life happens, things happen.
Danny became a prime example of how life can hit any of us at any time and put us in a position to need many of the services rendered during this week of service.
A lot of people were surprised because, again, Danny didn't outwardly show or talk about that he'd been in this situation. So the fact that he'd done such a great job with handling a set of circumstances that he had in life truly speaks volumes. You always hear about stories like Danny's, and they're great stories to hear about, but once you actually see it firsthand and you see the face behind the story and the life behind the story, it's truly amazing, and it makes people realize that it's not just a story, it's somebody's reality, and it's somebody's reality that they've made flourish because they're such a great young individual who'd gone through so much and worked so hard.
We have to be very honest with ourselves, even as adults. I think that we struggle sometimes with recognizing what's really taking place. And I'm not going to say that we don't see it. I just don't think that we're aware enough, or we have enough heart to tend to it.
I think getting youth involved in efforts to recognize and interact with the less fortunate is imperative. The youth who grow up in relative prosperity often have very little interaction with the kids who don't have much. And if they do have interaction with them, often it's very negative. They will stereotype them.
Today's teens and young adults are sometimes classified as not being knowledgeable and not being willing to help, but I think when they come out to things like this and are able to volunteer and kind of see how that impact is affecting potentially their neighbor or their friend or a classmate, it kind of opens their eyes up, and then they become more interested in the finding out more about it.
One of the things that we do here at New Image Youth Center is, number one, we make our children aware of their surroundings and to be proud of it, and to show them how to give back. If we're able to teach them at a young age, then it is our hope that it begins to grow with them and it becomes a part of who they are.
Volunteer opportunities are essential for developing what I would consider are productive, well-rounded, thoughtful adults. And if you can expose them as youngsters to that other side of life, that it can open up new vistas for the volunteers. It will enrich their lives kind of beyond measure.
And I just hope that in the future I can come back and I can be a volunteer and I can have my hands can be of help for somebody else.
You know, I was like, wow, I was there, now I'm helping out, you know. And I really want to do that. I want to help people who had my problem. Like, I want to help them out, you know.
When we began Project Orlando, we had 3 goals, and those goals always remain the same. 1, to bring attention to poverty. 2, to build relationships with each other. And 3, for them to be grateful for their many blessings. At the end of Project Orlando, I was able to witness friendships and bonds that were made by the teams that participated. I was able to see through their reflections the new appreciation that they have for organizations in their backyard they had no idea existed. And I was able to see a lot of them just realizing that they have so much more that they can be grateful for and so much more that they can actually do for others.
I think that it's so important for us to recognize that we have to get in the minds of our youth to let them know that you can be the difference. You can be the difference. You can be the difference.
So volunteers are extremely important to Habitat Greater Orlando's mission and goal of bringing affordable housing to Central Florida. And without volunteers, we couldn't do what we do. In our 30 years that Habitat Greater Orlando has been around, we have built over 300 homes, and we would have never been able to do that without the efforts of volunteers, both individuals, corporate groups, faith-based groups, all of them. We wouldn't be able to do any of what we do without the help of volunteers.
What we have found through our experience at the mission is that the volunteers get as much out of their efforts as our guests do. The volunteers who participate get a joy and a satisfaction and a spiritual growth from their participation that is at least as great as the benefits they confer on our guests who are the beneficiaries of their efforts.
If everyone took time to reach back and help one teen, there would be no crime, there would be no teenage suicides, there would be no teenagers lost and trying to figure it out. And we need to understand our role in doing what we can to bring back the generation that's behind us. If everyone volunteered 4 hours a month, there would be no need. There would be no person on this planet that would have a need would actually understand the concept of living on this earth and sharing this planet with someone else, and that's doing for others.
So my mind tells me if one person or if people all over would donate 1 day a month to an organization, not just New Image, to any organization, to not-for-profit organizations, I know that we will begin to see change on a more consistent level.
But it's only if we make a concerted effort, and I think that means individual families, churches, schools, community organizations.
So if every family in Central Florida were to spend 1 day, 1 afternoon volunteering with us, we would exponentially be able to build more houses.
If everybody out there in our community would volunteer just 1 afternoon or morning a month, at the mission itself, that would enable us to expand dramatically both the scope and effectiveness of our programs. And that applies not just to helping at the mission, but to helping at the entire range of social service organizations. We can solve homelessness, but it's only possible if we all contribute in some way.
4 hours in a month is nothing. And especially if everybody volunteered, those 4 hours would add up a whole lot. And I think if people volunteered even 4 hours doing something that they love, you know, almost every organization is looking for volunteers. So everybody can volunteer, and I think if people did volunteer more, they would get that bug and realize that helping others truly can help yourself too, and have a lasting impact.
I think that 4 hours a month seems like a high toll for a person with a busy job, day-to-day life, going to school, caring for parents, kids, whatever you may think. But in reality, we all have free time. As much as we might like to say that we don't, there are always moments when we could be doing something other than just sitting down. And the benefit that one receives from helping others may not be monetary, but it is the greatest feeling in the world. And I think that just giving a little bit more of your time would be entirely beneficial, not only to the community, but to yourself.
Providing service to your community is a very humbling thing. It really makes you reevaluate where you stand and what things you stand for and what your purpose is in the community, because you're not just there for yourself, you're there to help others and to further help your community for the future.
I hope what we did through Project Orlando inspires someone to get up and get moving. There are opportunities around this world, in our backyard, places where we don't even think about it, that we can get up and do something to make a difference in our community. And to think about it, when we do for others, we're actually doing for ourselves.
It's been said that it's better to give than to receive, but the fact is, as experienced in this project, when you give via service, you receive more than you could ever imagine, and what you receive in return leaves an indelible impact that changes our lives in an unimaginable way. Project Orlando is a challenge to you, the viewer, to make an impact in your own city with people you walk by every single day. Because if you make Project Atlanta, New York, Los Angeles, or any other city happen, we collectively change our world one city at a time.